again here in the preseason, Teddy, despite being 2.5-point favorites in their first two games with no wins to show for it. 36.5. Teddy, how are we breaking down this one?
And I just went through some numbers. Okay, so dogs last night went 4-0 ATS in the 4 preseason games. Last week, underdogs of +2 or higher. We're taking out the 1s and 1.5s, but anything close +2 or higher. Underdogs 8-3 ATS. Week 1, underdogs of +2 or higher, 10-2 ATS. If you've been laying points this preseason, you haven't done well. The information tends to point towards one team cares and one team doesn't, which says lay points with this team against that team. So far this season, and really last year too, that didn't work. And still hasn't worked. So sometimes, we talked about it, Dan, when they're in the preseason, if you've got nothing, sometimes you got something in an environment where the underdogs continue to get the money. Now, for Philly, Andy Dalton's started both the preseason games. Don't expect him to go tonight. In fact, the rumor is he's on the trading block. Tanner McKee expected to get ample playing time. McKee had a pair of touchdown passes last week. He looked pretty good, but it wasn't a scenario for Philadelphia where there's any urgency. And if you look at the Eagles, they've been favored twice in the preseason this year. They're 0-2 straight up, 0-2 against the spread. Last year, Philly went 2-1 straight up and against the spread in August under Sirianni. That being said, the underdog won all 3 games in outright fashion. So that's 0-5 straight up for the underdogs in Philadelphia Eagles preseason games over the last 2 years. I know, by the way, in 2024, the dogs went 2-1 straight up and ATS. So dog in preseason games have done very well over the last few seasons, including so far this year. And again, when there's no info that says point you this way, point you that way, well, maybe it's the right betting strategy in these situations is just to take the underdog. Now, Cincinnati has not been a good preseason team. In fact, they're 2-0 this preseason right now. Zach Taylor was hired in 2019. This is the first time the Bengals have won 2 preseason games in his tenure. So to say that he doesn't care, he doesn't care. We're not going to see any Bengals starters here. We're not going to see any Eagles starters here. Sean Clifford, Josh Johnson combined for 282 passing yards, 3 touchdowns last week. Haven't heard definitively that that's the duo again this week. Nonetheless, I could only lead towards Cincy here, plus the points. I don't want favorites unless there's a reason to back a favorite. And even when there's been a reason, it hasn't played out real well so far this preseason. So lean Cincy, and of course in a matchup with a whole lot of backup QBs, leaning under in this one as well.
Well, Teddy, it sounds like the most exciting part of my evening going down for this game will be whatever cheesesteak I get. So now we know Eagles, Bengals. Best bet is whatever is on the dinner menu. Teddy, before we talk Vikings and Broncos, let's talk about what you have up tonight. Because suffice to say, probably you don't have as big of a feel in that Eagles-Bengals game as you do for the client play you have rocking here tonight in bounce back mode. What can folks find over at your page, Teddy?
Yeah, I got a single best bet in MLB for tonight. I got a single best bet in NFL for tonight. We're going to talk about that NFL bet in just a moment. But really, don't buy a play. If you want to get on board, what do you buy 3 days, get 3 free? All right. That to me is this, like, if you're going to buy a play, do that. If you want to partner up, promo code Teddy50. It's going to get you $50 off my NFL full season package. Just visit the website, WagerTalk.com. Check out my homepage, w.buzz/TC. And that gets you every NFL play right through the Super Bowl. There's nothing more to buy. There's no nonsense. Teddy50 at checkout. Take $50 off.
WT.buzz/TC. Like Teddy said, that buy 3, get 3 days free. That is expiring in just 3 days from now, guys. End of August, that's done. If you want to get them, you can get them now. You can get them for any capper that you want. You can stack them if you want and get multiple all-access pass. You pay for 3, you get an extra 3 free. Grab the action for this weekend and into next week from Teddy Covers, WT.buzz/TC. All right, Teddy, you alluded to maybe have a little bit more vibe in this game. We'll talk Vikings and Broncos here. The just bet on Broncos, right? Last week, finally it came to bite people if they were just blindly, you got to play the Broncos, lay the big points with the Broncos. You listened in last week, Teddy told you not so fast. Are you thinking the same here tonight as they're taking on the Vikings, or is this price finally moving into a range we can actually back the Denver Broncos, Teddy?
So the money's come for Minnesota in this ball game. There were 4.5s out there, and there was a big sharp move towards the Vikings. And it came after Kevin O'Connell had his press conference on Wednesday. And that press conference on Wednesday, if you watched it, you know exactly who watched it. I watched it. I read the transcript. But the key for the coach's pressers, all right? When a coach tells you he's interested in the preseason, he's interested. And the quotes from O'Connell were basically like, in the preseason's past, week 3, the finale, most of the guys that are going to play aren't going to make the roster. He's like, that's not going to be the case this year. Minnesota had a no-show last week in Baltimore. They have a legitimate competition for the backup QB job, whether it's Carson Wentz or J.J. McCarthy. McCarthy obviously last week had a rough outing and got hurt. He sat practice yesterday. He's expected to go today along with Wentz, and that's a pretty good 1-2 duo for a preseason finale in the quarterback position. And Max Brosmer is supposed to get some playing time in the second half as well. But the level of urgency from O'Connell in that press conference was palpable. You know, this is the team that, you know, didn't start, you know, last year was a disaster, started, but they started 4-9 last year, 4-8, and then they won the last 5. There's urgency for Minnesota right now. There's urgency for Minnesota tonight. And while Peyton certainly has an impressive track record with Denver and dating back to New Orleans, Peyton's been a bet-on head coach in August. It all comes down to quarterback rotations. And we got Sam Ehlinger and Jarrett Stidham once again. A good duo, but a duo that combined for a grand total of, a field goal last week. It wasn't, you know, it's not like they're giving the money to Denver automatically before the games are played. And it's not like the Broncos have a pushover this time around. So you put those factors together. In this bettor's opinion, I think Minnesota is a live underdog tonight. I've got some Vikings in my pocket. I've advised my clients to make that same bet.
Barking dog.